Welcome to Education Today. I'm Andy Contrail.
And I'm John Lambert.
From Katanning High School in the Armstrong School District. Tonight, you're going to be wowed by science. We're going to look at some highlights from an assembly presented by the Carnegie Science Center. The Science Center Science on the Road program brought a cutting edge to Katanning Junior High School students on Wednesday, April 14, 2010.
This dynamic science show was titled Fire and Ice. It explored the question, what happens when things get really hot or really cold? This audience participation game show pitted the fire team against the ice team in a collection of exciting and explosive visual demonstrations. Students learned about the combustion and fire triangle, then saw what happened when things were frozen at 320 degrees below zero in liquid nitrogen.
How about you say we take a look at some of this footage?
All right.
All right, just as she said in the introduction, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate that. This is a valuable class time. This is how I always introduce my shows. I really do appreciate being invited to come out here today to bring you a program called Fire and Ice. But I would like to treat this like a classroom program. So as she said, the quieter you are, the more we can get through, the more fun we can have. And that's because I have come up from the Science Center today to bring you this program. I know it's sometimes hard to get everybody together to go down 28 to head to the Science Center, but we can bring a lot of the Science Center to you because I work for a program or a division in the Science Center called Science on the Road. And as I said, we will have a lot of fun. I can remember being 11, 12 years old and actually doing one of the sleepovers down at the Science Center. And I said to myself that time, I want to work there someday, and I have. I promise you that if you cooperate with me, you will have a lot of fun. Now, the name of the program, and I also do want to say that I've been to I go to schools every day, and I know the PSSAs might have worn you down a little bit. So, again, we will have some fun. We're going to learn about some science today. We're going to learn about some real specific science and physics and some chemistry and have some fun while we're doing that. Now, the program I brought today is called Fire and Ice. What we're going to talk about today is heat and cold. And what that goes back to is talking about energy. I know some of you may know this, some of you might not, but everything around you, everything, you, me, the floor, the ceilings, birds, snakes, airplanes, anything you can possibly think of is made out of what we call matter, right? It's made out of stuff. And that stuff is actually made out of energy. That's what Einstein figured out. He figured out that E equals mc squared. That means energy equals matter. And if we heat energy, or if we heat matter up, if we heat cool matter down, we can make it do things. So we're going to find out about solids, liquids, and gases today. I know you girls and boys have heard about that before, but we're going to see what happens whenever you heat matter up, when you heat it down. When you heat solids up, cool it down. When you heat liquids up, cool it down. When you heat gases up, cool it down. So I appreciate you listening to that introduction. We need somebody now. Well, we'll get that in a second. Like I said, I promised you a big, tremendous fire. Let's get that going right now. Help me with the countdown.
From 5,
4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Look at that. Now, occasionally I can read minds. And the vibe that I'm getting right now is, John, you promised me a gigantic, tremendous, humongous fire. That indeed is one of the weakest fires I've ever seen in my entire life. Is that what you're thinking? Yeah. Now, what I want you to do first, what I would like you to do first, is we're going to use science, and I want you to look at this fire through the eyes of science and figure out what's going on. We have combined heat. I used a match to get that fire going. My source of fuel is what? What source of fuel do I have? The candle itself, the wax. The wax is actually an oil that burns. And finally, where am I getting oxygen for this fire? From the air, from that gas that's around it. You combine all three pieces and you get a fire. Now, if you look at this and think about what's really going on, something really special is going on here, because things that are cold do not give off light. This flame is actually burning at over 1,000 degrees. It's burning so hot that it not only gives off a lot of heat above it, it gives off light energy. So there's something very neat going on here involving chemistry, involving the fire triangle. Now, how would I be able to put this fire out? If I blow it out, you'll actually take away some of the heat, and you'll take away some of the oxygen. That's one way. What's another way to put it out? Water. Now, water Water is a very good way to take away the heat. I think that might be a good idea. Now, I'm going to need 2 volunteers. One person that doesn't mind having a bad hair day. Let me see. You can go on up and wash it. Let's take somebody from this side, just to be fair. Just come stand right up in the front for now. Alright, and let's see here. And the lady in the red shirt, come on up. Alright, put on volunteers, a round of applause. Everybody listen in. Come on, guys. Alright, we need my volunteers. What's your name? And what grade are you in?
Nice to meet you, and you are?
Jessica.
And what grade are you in?
Nice to meet you. Now, we are going to use the super duper, just stand right where you're at, super duper high-tech ultra fire extinguisher. Let me pull that out from right underneath here. So here's our fire extinguisher. All right, now hold on to that.
Now, next,
There we go, next. You're going to be the keeper of the flame, okay? Put on your safety goggles. Next, just to keep you from getting, so put that on backwards. Put that on backwards. All right. Now, I would like you to come stand right up in the middle there. You can come stand right about here. I think it was awesome. Let's give him a round of applause. Excellent work. Now, you're going to go ahead and hold that. All right. Now, what I want to show everybody. Thank you. Now, I actually am going to set the microphone down for 1 second and just show you how to use this fire extinguisher to make sure everybody's familiar with that. So,
now this isn't like a normal fire. This isn't a normal fire extinguisher. This is, in fact, a squirt gun. It doesn't have a trigger that works like that, so I want to demonstrate just so you know. Whenever I say, all you need to do is pull the handle up like that, and then when you're ready to aim it at the fire, you just pump it down just like that. Wait. Just in case. Wait, one more time. Just in case you didn't see that. You pull it up, and you pump it down just like that.
all right. Now, what we're going to do, is we're going to use some water to try to take away the heat from the flame. So I would like you to take the handle out, and let's see if we can put out this fire using water. Go ahead. Come on a little closer. Come on a little closer. Come on a little closer. Almost. Oh, come on, one more. There we go. Give it a round. We're going to see what happens whenever you cool a solid down. Now, what I've just put on are something called cryogenic gloves. They're a little bit different than just your normal, snow gloves you wear. These will actually protect my hands down to 320 degrees below zero. They'll protect my hands in liquid nitrogen, which we'll talk about in a little bit, for upwards of about 30 seconds. After 30 seconds, it starts becoming uncomfortable. After a minute, I chance getting frostbite, some dangerous stuff. So we're going to use liquid nitrogen and see what happens when you cool a solid down. So I have right here just a toy ball that I bought at Toys R Us. What do you think the outside of the ball is made out of? It is. It's rubber. It is a solid. Even though you can squish it, you're able to squish it and it can bounce because it's at room temperature. It has a little bit of give to it. So right now, this ball is probably at about 75 degrees above zero. But we can actually take heat energy away. We can certainly, and I'm not going to do this because it would make a really bad smell, but we can certainly heat this ball up using a blowtorch. You know what would happen. It would turn from a solid into a liquid. That's right, it would melt. But what I want to do is I want to turn this solid even more solid. And we're going to do that by taking what away from it? Heat. Or we're going to add some cold to it. So I'm going to pour out some of this liquid nitrogen.
Okay, I'm going to set the mic down just so I can have both hands free. So inside of here, this is called a dewar. It's a big flask that actually keeps that liquid nitrogen safe for me to transport. All right.
Now, it actually looked like I poured water out of there, but we're going to talk about liquid nitrogen in a little bit. I assure you that it's not water. It's actually boiling inside of here because it's so cold and the room is so hot the liquid nitrogen boils without me having to add anything extra to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add that ball. Again, you saw me bounce that ball. Just to be on the safe side, if you can watch it, because in science, I don't like to keep anything from you. No secrets, I like you to see how everything works. So you can see that we're starting off with a ball that will indeed bounce. It's solid, it's made out of rubber. We're going to go ahead and add it to the liquid nitrogen. What's happening right now is all of those atoms, all of those molecules, they're moving slowly. They're already solid, but they're moving even slower. You're taking away all of that heat energy. You're freezing, in essence, you're freezing a solid. So we're almost ready to see, and then we're going to do a bounce test and see if anything different happens to my liquid nitrogen ball. So we've been submerged it in liquid nitrogen for about 30 seconds. Those molecules have gotten closer and closer together. They formed a solid. And let's go ahead and find out. First, I'll hold it up. Does it look like the ball has actually changed? No. You can see some fog coming off of it, but is it shaped the same? The shape is the same, but what I want to do is now do the bounce test. Let me freeze this just a little more. Help me with the countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, how did that bounce? You can actually see, and I'll hold up some of these pieces, that I took away so much heat energy from it that when I tried to bounce it, the only thing it could do was shatter all over my table. And that's what happens when you freeze a solid. Everybody give yourself a round of applause. Good job. It'll stay at 320 degrees below zero. Now, you can see, or you could see, now the outside of this has actually made all the water vapor in the air turn into ice. So that's why you can't see it anymore. But as it's boiling in this container, it's turning from a liquid into a what? Hey, to make solid nitrogen, you'd have to take away even more heat energy. It's turning from a liquid into a gas. And I want to actually show you, you can watch as it turns to a gas right in front of your eyes. So let me
get this next experiment ready. Again, I want both of my hands free. So what we're going to do is we're going to place a little bit of this liquid nitrogen into this little flask right here. And again, you can see that right inside the flask, it's bubbling, it's boiling. The room around it, the very room, 70 degrees around the room, is adding enough heat energy to this that it's boiling right inside the flask. It's turning into a gas and it's escaping out through the top. Now, remember that little molecule demonstration we did at the beginning. What takes up more space, a liquid or a gas? A gas. A gas, in fact, from liquid nitrogen, when you go from a liquid to a gas, it takes up 700 times more space as a gas than it does as a liquid. It doesn't weigh anymore, but it just takes up 700 times more space. So let's see what happens whenever I put a balloon on the top of this flask. Let's see what I can capture. So let me go ahead and get this balloon. Now, let me get this going a little quicker. What's happening to the balloon? Yeah, it is. What's it filling up with? Nitrogen. Nitrogen, that's right. It's actually filling up with nitrogen gas. You have liquid nitrogen in the bottom, it's boiling, it's rising up, and it's turning into a gas. Excellent work. Let me let that sit there a little while longer and let that inflate. Okay? So what we're going to do next, oh, here we go. We're almost ready. I don't want this to pop because we need this for the end of the show. So I have the ball blocking the end of that cannon. If I have this valve open, the gas can escape out through that valve as long as it's open. But whenever I want to shoot it, all I have to do is close the valve. You now have an enclosed tube. There's nowhere for all of that pressure. It's going to turn from a liquid, fill this entire tube up with a lot of pressure really quick, 700 times more space. That foam ball will have nowhere else to go but out the end of the tube, and we'll see if Colton, who's been very patiently waiting over there, can catch it. So let me go ahead and let's add some liquid nitrogen. All right, so now you can actually see that when I have that valve open, the gas can escape out through the top of that hole. All I have to do now is close that valve, and we'll see if Colton can catch the ball. You ready? Let's go ahead and close the valve, and let's see what happens. Let's give him a round of applause. I am. Let's try that one more time. Go all the way to the wall. You know what, Colton? Come on over this end right here so kids down here can see. All right. What's that? All right, are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blank. Nice. Give him a round of applause. Good work.
All right, you can have a seat. Let's give him one more round of applause. That was an awesome catch. Thank you. So far, class, you've done a great job listening in. We've learned about solids. We've learned about some liquids. What I would like to do now is we're going to learn about a flammable liquid. Now, I'm actually going to show you, kind of give you an inside look into how a piston in your car works. So far, we talked about liquid nitrogen. Liquid nitrogen 320 degrees below zero. We let the room heat up the liquid nitrogen. What we're going to do next is I have right here an empty polar water jug. And I want to fill this with a liquid that's flammable. And we're going to see what happens whenever we do that. So I have inside of this container a flammable liquid. And it's kind of like airspray, but I'm going to go ahead and give this.
Again, I'm going to put the mic down just to have my hands free. I'm going to fill this. Again, you can see that we're talking about a liquid. I have a clear liquid inside of this container. We're going to squirt. Okay. Oops. Now, we're going to go ahead, fill this entire container with a flammable liquid. And the reason that I said this will kind of show you how a car engine works is because your car engine, what kind of fuel does it squirt into your engine? Either gasoline or diesel fuel. That's right. So this is kind of like squirting fuel. There we go. Combustion is what we're going to talk about. Excellent work. So, think of the fire triangle. What I just added. What did I just add from our fire triangle? Fuel. That's right. Now, where am I going to get oxygen from? From the air. Now, I actually do this. It mixes oxygen in with the fuel. So this is kind of like how your car, it has an air filter because your car uses oxygen to mix with fuel. And then last but not least, what else do we need to add? Heat. We need to add some heat. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to put this right here. We're going to use a match. And let's find out what happens whenever you add heat to a flammable liquid. Okay? Got enough oxygen? If you don't like loud noises, please cover your ears. If you do, you're in for a treat. All right. Help me with the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Give yourself a round of applause, everybody. Excellent work. Now, I heard somebody. Let's come back just a little bit. It's a little too loud. Thank you. I heard somebody yell, do it again. The outside of that polar water jug is actually extraordinarily hot. By doing it again, I chance breaking that polar water jug and making it a danger. So I can't do that again during this show. So, everybody, we're going to move on, and we're going to finally move to our last state of matter. We've talked about solids. We've talked about liquids. So what's the last state of matter that we need to talk about? Gas. That's exactly right. So what we are going to do first is we're going to see what happens whenever you cool down a gas. Because a gas usually is very, very flammable. A gas is usually pretty warm. The gas in the air around your head right now, it's made of about 70% nitrogen, 20% oxygen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this balloon up with the gas. I want everyone here to help me out by taking a deep breath in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Now, let me tie this off.
Just making sure it didn't have a hole in it. So what type of gas have I filled this balloon with? Carbon dioxide. That's right. Whoops. All right.
All right, so I did fill this with carbon dioxide gas. When you breathe in, you use the oxygen, you burn your food, you make energy. When you breathe out, carbon dioxide is a waste gas. So the air inside of this balloon is about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to see what happens whenever you cool a gas down. If I take away heat energy from this, what will happen to the gas? It will melt. Well, one way of looking at it is it will actually turn from a gas into a liquid and a solid. So I just want you to see that I have tied off this balloon. Air or carbon dioxide or any type of air cannot get into the balloon, and no air can get out of the balloon. The only thing that I'm going to take away is some heat energy. Does anybody think that I have something here that we could use to take heat energy away with? The nitrogen. We're going to use liquid nitrogen to actually take away some of the heat energy. So again, I'm going to use... All right. So we're going to pour some liquid nitrogen into this bowl. Again, liquid nitrogen is 320 degrees below zero. Okay? Now, again, nothing can get in the balloon, nothing can get out. The balloon is closed up. Let's find out what happens when you take heat energy away. As you can see, it's shrinking. What's happening right now is the carbon dioxide in that balloon, the oxygen in the balloon, it's slowing down. It's getting cooled off. The molecules are moving closer and closer together. They're changing state. They're going from a gas to a liquid to a solid. And in just a moment, I'm going to hold the balloon up. And I'm going to move the balloon back and forth. And I want you to actually see that my breath, what I breathed out, some of the oxygen I breathed out, the carbon dioxide that I breathed out, has turned into a solid and a liquid. The solid is frozen carbon dioxide. I'm sure that some of you have heard of dry ice before. I've actually made dry ice right inside this balloon, and then the liquid you see is liquid oxygen. Liquid oxygen forms at 180 degrees below zero, and carbon dioxide forms, or dry ice forms, at 109. So I want you to see what happens now whenever the air heats up the balloon. So you can see inside the balloon, liquid oxygen. On the outside of the balloon, we have dry ice. Now, the air temperature is actually going to warm the gas, the solid and the liquid up. Let's find out what happens now when the air actually warms the balloon right up. And you can see that the white stuff on the outside, there's some more liquid oxygen inside of there. So what happens is it heats up. It expands back apart, it turns back into a gas, and we're actually left with a liquid. Okay, let me let this balloon kind of got deformed a little bit. Hopefully I didn't, I did poke a hole in it. So I actually have to get one more balloon out of here because we need it for our last demonstration. So we're going to try this with one more balloon. Okay? Hold on 1 second. I appreciate everybody's patience. Always bring extra stuff. All right, again, I just want you to see what type of gas I'm going to put in here. So I'm going to blow this balloon up with carbon dioxide. All right, so you saw what happened whenever, I'm not going to actually put that back in the liquid nitrogen again. So you saw what happened. When I cooled that down, the molecules moved closer together. They changed state. They became a solid. They became a liquid. Again, we have carbon dioxide in this balloon. For my last demonstration, what I would actually like to do is, since we cooled a gas down, what do we need to do next? We need to heat up a gas. So we're going to use the blowtorch, and we're going to add some heat to different gases and see how that works. Now, we're going to start with a balloon that I actually made at the beginning of the show. Does anybody remember what gas was inside of this balloon? Nitrogen, that's right. What we're going to test and see if the gas is flammable. We're going to see what happens when we heat this gas up. So I have my robot claw to keep me safe. Let me attach it to that. Okay, let me go ahead and get this started. If you don't like loud noises, cover your ears. Otherwise, tell me with the countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, did you notice that the nitrogen, did it burn? Did it not burn? What happened? It didn't burn. The only thing that happened was the balloon popped, the nitrogen fell out of the way. The nitrogen was not flammable. Nitrogen is actually a gas that they put inside airplane tires, so that way, if in the event that there's ever like an accident or something like that, it doesn't catch on fire. If you filled a balloon with oxygen, do you think that would burn? Yeah, maybe we'll find out about that in a little bit. But the next gas that I want to test is the one in this clear balloon. What gas was that? Does anybody remember? Carbon dioxide. That's right.
So again, let me clip onto the end of the balloon. This balloon full of carbon dioxide gas. Again, we're testing to see what happens when you add heat to a gas. Help me with the countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Now, was carbon dioxide flammable? Did you see it burn? No. The balloon popped, the carbon dioxide moved out of the way, and nothing happened.
Now what we're going to do for our last gas is we're going to combine everything that we learned today, and I want to show you exactly how this happens. What I have inside of this container is a solid. It's kind of a powder. You can hear when I shake it up. This is a chemical called calcium carbide. This is a solid. So I have put, before the show, I actually put a scoop. Some of you may have seen me do this as you came in. I put a scoop of this calcium carbide. It looks like pebbles into this balloon. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to mix this solid calcium carbide. We're going to mix it with the liquid. Inside of this flask right here, I have just regular old water. So we're going to mix a solid calcium carbide with water, and it's going to release, if it works right, it's going to release a gas. So we've learned all about solids, liquids, and gases today. The gas should fill up the balloon. As soon as we get that balloon full, I'll tell you what kind it is. So I've gone ahead and dumped the calcium carbide in here. There's a chemical reaction happening. It's actually a very warm chemical reaction. It's releasing, and there's a gas actually filling up this balloon right now. We mix the solid, we mix the liquid. It's a kind of a stronger smell. It's sort of a carbony smell. Now, I'm going to tell you what the name of this gas is. Some of you may be familiar with it. The name of the gas that was released is called acetylene. So acetylene is actually filling the balloon up right now. If you know what acetylene is, you probably have an idea of what's going to happen when we try to burn this gas. So, I'm getting all the liquid out of the balloon. Let's pop this off. I'm going to add just a little bit of my own carbon dioxide to keep the explosion down to a minimum. So what we have inside this balloon right now is a mixture of acetylene gas and carbon dioxide. And let's find out what happens when you add heat to a flammable gas. Let me move this out of the way. If you don't like loud noises, get ready. Cover your ears. If you do like loud noises, you should be in for a treat. Okay, help me with the countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, that's our show for today. I'd like to thank the teacher who organized this assembly, Mrs. Christine Orlowski of the Canning Junior High School, as well as the Carnegie Science Center, for allowing us to film and broadcast the assembly. I'd also like to thank the Armstrong School District Foundation for providing financial support for the Teacher Overall Project, which includes the assembly.
Today's film crew was Canning High School, led by teacher Miklos. Great job, guys. Please join us again next week for another look at the Armstrong School District. Log on to our website for updated information about the district, and have a great week.